Good morning. Today is January the 26th, 2026. It's about 10:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am Yahweh ELohim, Yahweh. I am the God of the Bible. And we're going to cover a couple of pages of weekend notes. Topics include Ukraine, Mexico, New Canaan, Gaza, NFL halftime boycott, righteousness, Minnesota Rioters, and then adults, kids who grew up that never became adults. So before we go into that, I will hit on a little bit about kind of the weekend briefly. So we ended up going out to a steakhouse. So Asherah got her steak. We went to Sioux City Steakhouse. It's locally and independently owned. I really appreciate the sanitization they went. When we walked in, it was very clean. Tables even had little signs that said this table has been sanitized. Of course, being winter in the flu season, that's important. Just because I want to see the community healthy, and far too often restaurants, especially big chains, I believe have an issue with their sanitation. And also big chain restaurants that overcharge for a lot of their stuff, and it's not even fresh, versus this local independent steakhouse. Their meat was fresh. I could tell the difference just by the smell. I can even tell if vegetables have been frozen. But not just that, I as God literally have a sense of smell that is uncanny. I can literally tell people, like, I can tell what people are cooking houses down on my block. And on the negative, if somebody is dirty, unfortunately, like my neighbors on one side are, if they so much as open a window, I can smell their roaches, which is very frustrating because it's nauseating. And not to mention, they have a really bad issue still with trash. So I was doing my yard this weekend, and I was very, very irritated that I was chronically picking up people's fast food containers. And that's another thing. Like, how do poor people afford to eat out as much as some of these neighbors in my neighborhood? Like, you live like trash. You don't even, like, keep your trash tidy. You don't keep it in the can because obviously it's all over my yard. And cigarette butts are in my yard. Like, it's absolutely past my patience. So I digress. I was just trying to say that I can smell everything. Anyway, the Sioux City Steakhouse was very clean, very sanitary. The food was 5 stars. Asherah had 0 complaints of her steak. Her soup was really good as well. I had the southern fried chicken tenders. They gave me quite a lot. And it did come with 2 sides, so I ended up doing the baby red mashed potatoes. That was really good. And Cam Jam got a real mac and cheese. So they put it in like an iron skillet, not the Kraft. Kraft is fine for like a lunch, but this was the real deal. I guess they bake it. So dinner Saturday was good. I even have leftovers that I'm going to use today for my lunches. Me and Asherah, we do turkey wraps and turkey spinach wraps with lettuce, cheese, and then like a little bit of mayo. So today I'm going to do it with one of my leftover chicken tenders. So I'll do that. And now our garden is kind of fully robust, so we're going to start clipping off pieces of lettuce, washing it, and then just throwing it directly on the wrap. Okay, and then today's soundtrack goes to Roosevelt Beats. This is, I can't even make out the name, but I think it's like Red's Velvet or something. That's the background. And again, no copyright. And I try to find something that's not too fast or too slow. And then I try to avoid things that actually have lyrics because I don't want it to be a distraction. But at the same time, I don't want my consort's meetings. She's just in the next room. I don't want her meetings to be overflowing into our video time. Alright, so we'll turn this down a little bit. She seems kind of quiet on that end. And then we'll jump into it. So I say she's quiet, and then she perks back up here. Let me actually... I'll switch this really quick. Okay. We'll try and go with this. Seems good enough. But I don't know if that is copyright or not, so hold on. Alright, I'll try this one. This is not copyrighted. Okay, so first up on our list, I'm going to cover Ukraine. So Volodymyr Zelensky, you know, I applaud you for your patriotism. I, you know, understand that some years ago you were separated from the motherland. You annexed, and then basically the problem is you failed to secure Ukraine as sovereign. That's an issue. Because now Russia has advanced in Donbass, if that's how you say that. And Ukraine, your ability to effectively fend them off, again, is kind of withered. So really, you're at the mercy of NATO intervention, and it has not been a sustained battle. It's now becoming a bit of a slaughter. So the end result for this, unfortunately, is conceding land to Russia with United States / NATO-backed guarantees. That's the only option. That is pretty much the option that I gave you 70,000 dead people ago. And the sooner the better. You know, let's stop sending fathers. Let's stop sending sons. Let's stop sending people to die in a grinder, because I'm tired of seeing them be sent to war and to battle and bleeding all my creation for the sake of pride. Because I'm telling you, at the end of this, they're never going to remember that as victorious, because it's not feasible at this point. And instead, they're going to remember for all the losses they've had. You know, imagine every single one of those men, boys that are dying. They all have a mother. Most of them have wives, girlfriends, significant others. A lot of them have children. Now these children are going to grow up without a father figure. You know, and this is a severe issue, because if you look at after World War II, why did America start going down this liberal hellhole pathway? It started in the 60s, right? It started when the fatherless children began growing up, and they did not have righteousness instilled in them, right? So they became essentially ungodly. They became Marxists. Like, they literally just started becoming like uneducated adults. And then those uneducated adults that were fatherless after World War II, they grow up to have children, and now you're talking about the 60s and the 70s. So you have generations of fatherless children who don't grow up. They grow up physically, but they don't grow up mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And this is a huge issue. So war is a massive problem, and then what usually happens is the degradation of society, right? Because instead of having astute, God-fearing, righteous men leading their families, that God-fearing, righteous man is gone now, right? Lost to war. And then, that's what I mean, then the women are left, and then they're not able to fulfill the man's role effectively, and then the children essentially grow up to be just sniveling little brats. And then, I'm skipping ahead, and then basically you have the Minnesota rioters. So, like, they're all really a bunch of bastards. You know, they don't have parents. If they have flesh parents, then they're useless, because they did not teach their children righteousness or right or wrong. So Ukraine, it is time to end the war. Let's sign a treaty. And like I said, the only path forward is to concede land to Putin, and then have United States NATO-backed guarantees to ensure that if he does come back over that line, then we're not even going to, it's not a question, it's going to be that Russia is then hit with the full force of NATO. And then he will chill out really quickly. So, I really would like to have this wrapped up. I mean, we don't have to wait any longer. It's Monday. Let's get this done. I'm sure PT is already on it, but just to highlight the importance of it. So next up on our list here is, so in spirit, as Malak Yahweh, I visited a drug cartel camp over the weekend and counseled on it. And I counted about 90, but Archangel Michael verified that it was north of 120 prisoners. And mostly these were women and children, and the youngest was about 7. This is a drug cartel in Mexico who's receiving Colombian raw cocaine, and in the facility they were cutting it and then cutting it. And then the people that were actually working in these, they looked like almost like long buildings with like one door, no windows, and inside of it was a facility for drug manufacturing. This is in Mexico. And like I said, I counted personally about 90. Archangel Michael counted 120 at least. And the youngest was about 7. So they're actually using children in these things too, which is really sad. And again, they're being held essentially prisoner to manufacture cocaine shipped from Colombia. Now, I witnessed this, and again, this is in spirit, so this is where essentially I, as Elohim, am just a form of light. So really, the flesh would have to be looking and to know what they're looking for to see me, but I can fully see them. And about 25 actually tried to make an escape attempt. And then instead of success, they actually got caught up by the militant arm of the cartel. So as they were running away from this thing, it was like after hours, and they tried to escape. Well, they tried to run. Some of them were trying to hide in this like 18-wheeler. It didn't have a trailer, and it was like parked, but they tried to hide inside it and under it. Well, as the military arm of the cartel was pursuing them, they were hiding in the big rig or under the semi, and when the cartels arrived, I mean, they didn't even ask questions. They literally just started shooting through the cab of the truck and under it, and they killed all of them that were in it and under it. Then they just drove away. That's the kind of fear and like sadistic abuse that these people do to keep their free labor. They have no problem murdering anyone who doesn't follow suit. So I'm dispatching a 12-angel team to try to get this on the radar and to try to get these people saved, because like these are some of the worst crimes I've seen in spirit, and these are things that can be done. These are things that can be done, and they can only be done when there are governments in Mexico and all around the world that are not afraid to fight these cartels. You see, the big problem right now in the world, there's a lot of them, but this is another one, where the bad guys have the upper hand. The bad guys in Mexico have the upper hand, and the same thing that's happening here in America is the left ideologies. This radicalization truly is not unique to America. This is what happens. These people are breeding like rats. They breed and they continue on until the society has collapsed. Like it's truly innately like that they are trying to collapse civilization. And again, why? Because they're spoiled, right? They've been in America, they're spoiled. They don't understand that probably 2 and 3, 4 generations, their grandfather probably died in World War II, right? Then their parents or grandparents were fatherless. Then they grew up to be drug addicts in the 60s, peace, love, and premarital sex. And then they grew up being bastards. Nobody had angels. Nobody had direction, right? And then you're talking about these kids growing up. They're having kids. Now you see what I mean? Like, this is just perpetuating demoralization of the fabric of society. And civilization depends upon these things to go in the upward direction, not the downward direction. So the next note here is, I'm going to switch this because this seems a little too... Okay. Yeah, we'll just stick to what works, because That other one doesn't help me focus. Instead, it like helps me kind of get out there. All right. New Canaan or Gaza. So the hotspot solution is each section of new construction should be monitored and protected by Israelis and verified Gazans. When a hotspot rears its head, then it gets shot and removed. New Canaan must have a citizen program to verify settlers' intent, purpose, and obedience to laws and adhere to peace fully. Non-agreeance to these result in a territory expulsion. We are going to run wicked people out. Retain those who want a future, normalcy, and prosperity, and those new citizens should be putting in labor. If they help build it, then they will help protect it. Each seat of 1 billion goes to the construction efforts, and currency should be American or Israeli to give up economic growth and investment opportunities to helping grow New Canaan or New Gaza. Because, right, as I just said, we need to have them invested in their own future. So if you have these little turds still trying to Hamas, kill the Jews, like all these things, there is no room on the creation for it. It's cheaper. It's like a 3-cent bullet to just put it right in their skulls. There you go. You don't even have to bury them. You can just set them on fire, throw them on a pile, and I don't care, because as soon as their soul becomes detached from their flesh, I'm just sending them down by the hundreds downstairs. I'm not even doing weighing stations with these people. Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, not the Iranian people, but the regime. All these people are getting fast passed to hell. So that's what I mean. I'm not even doing weigh stations, because their hearts are full of murder, and they are literally in demonic worship cults. Enough said. Enough said. There's nothing else to really even talk about that. One of the big portions that I wanted to cover today is actually the NFL halftime. So the NFL halftime boycott. Me, Asherah, the kids, we're going to watch the Super Bowl, but we're going to watch the game portion. We are turning it off at the end of Q2. Nothing. Not any TV anywhere in the house for the duration of the halftime show. I am encouraging Christians, Jews, it doesn't matter, right? You can even be Muslim, but if you're a good Muslim, right? You know right from wrong. You're not trying to murder people. You're not trying to cut off your penile and put on a vagina. You know what I mean? You're a normal humanoid. I encourage you, boycott this stuff, because if the minority left is the loudest voice when it comes to everything, and that's what's happening, right? You have millions of good people who are saying nothing, but you got 25 loud yippy dogs that are Looney Tunes, right? The loony left, they're making it out to be that everybody feels this way. No, whiny Tim Waltz feels that way, right? The Fry guy, all these stupid players who mean nothing, and they're on borrowed time as it is with my patients. So Christians, Jews, religious people, non-religious people, people that just know goodness, prove to the NFL, prove to the commissioners, prove to these teams, prove to the television networks, prove to the loony left, prove to these few. They are few, but they are loud, un-American, godless people. You prove to them that this really is America, and that you are Christians. You are one nation under God, and you are the majority. That Christians in America, Jews in America, good people are the majority. And good people are not going to be listening to the Bad Bunny and none of that nonsense. That's a command. This is going to speak volumes. Because preciousness, folks, preciousness is sacred. Righteousness is godly. And truly, sin is perversion. It is lying. It is what this halftime show is going to be all about. Instead of America having an American halftime show that presents itself to our own nation, godliness, righteousness, talent, right? James Earl Jones type of people. Like, I was listening to Barry White in the car with Asherah this morning. Like, there are some really talented musicians who sing, who write good songs. Guys, we're not Latin America. This is bullshit, to be honest. I mean, imagine in Israel, if they had a sport that is a representative of, let's say, Israel, and instead of having Jewish anthems and Jewish song and cultural heritage of the land that you're actually on, let's say that Israel said, you know what, we're going to do a halftime show by Palestine. That's what you're doing with the Bad Bunny. And frankly, my anger is now past yelling. It is now executing on these promises that I have warned. So people in the NFL commission want to think it's cute. Commercial people want to think I'm cute. I will show you just how cute I am. Ask Jimmy Kimmel, because remember, Jimmy Kimmel wanted to be cute with me too. And sometimes I won't take the individual. I will take people closest to you to teach a lesson. So keep that in mind. But truly, halftime show, turn it off. Instead, pray. Turn the halftime show into prayer. Do not give the satisfaction of ratings. Do not give the satisfaction that we want to make sure that the article the same day or the next day is Christian America said no to Bad Bunny. Christian America boycotted the Bad Bunny. You show them. You show them. And that is how we peacefully protest wicked and evil things occurring in our nation, your nation. Christians, this is your nation, and I, as your God, I am your Elohim. Together, we're unstoppable. But you gotta stand up, right? Do not pray for my downfall. Pray for my rise. Pray for their downfall and our rise. Because, right, that's what I mean. Like, so many of my own people are lamenting, praying, and hoping for my downfall. Then what? Then what? Do you see how silly that is? Like, I am here. I am Yahweh. I am doing my job, and I'm trying to get my people on board. And this is something that everyone can do. So let's spread the message. You don't have to say it came from me, Yahweh. You don't even have to say it came from God, which it is. But I'm saying, like, any Christian church can go knock on the other Christian church's door and say, guys, we're boycotting this. This is coming straight from the top. The Lord of Lords, the King of Kings, the God of the Old Testament, the Elohim of the New Testament, the one true God. The devil trembles because even he knows that God is one, right? That's my point. So let's make the devil tremble, and let's make them feel that impact in their wallet. I want the NFL commissioner to look as stupid as the marketing person from Cracker Barrel. Because they're going to get the picture, guys. They're going to get the picture that Christian America is no longer going to be susceptible to sin, no longer going to be led astray by big media corporations. We are no longer going to be led astray by impious music. And you know what? I'll even give you an apology directly. If I was misunderstood by some of the previous music that I was playing, it was simply out of mockery. It was out of mockery. And the point of some of these things in the past was you can actually have aggressive beats and things like that, but without the lyrics to actually impact the human psyche. You see what I mean? I'm a God that likes a vast array of types of music. I like classicals, violin, slow, cello, guitar, drums, rock beats, hip-hop beats. I love all of that. It's the lyrics that make the difference, right? It's the lyrics that make a difference, is what I'm trying to say. Because truly, guys, you know, perversion, this un-American, like we're holding a Latin, like this is not Latin America. There's an entire continent dedicated to Latin America. It's called Latin America, South America, Mexico included. And guess what? Territory-wise, it's twice the size of the United States of America. Okay, we are English-speaking Christian country. That means We will welcome you in if you're a Latin. We will welcome you in if you're Mexican, Argentinian, if you're Canadian, if you're French, German, Russian, Iranian, Iraqi. It don't matter. Because, guys, we don't care about your race. We don't even care about your religion as long as you're not worshiping demons and you want to kill my Christians or my Jews. Right? Peaceful. And again, as we see, the same lunatics don't even know how to peacefully protest because their inclination is to harm, is to gaslight, is to inflame, because they're being led by, I mean, I hate to say this, but they're being led by sick people. Sick people. Guys, that's what I want you praying for. That's what I want you praying for. I want you praying because when you're praying, you are giving that power back to heaven. You're giving the word, the voice back to the kingdom of heaven, my kingdom. And then you're saying as one voice, we reject sin, we accept God. Down with the evil, up with the righteous. Down with this destruction of our great nation that's crumbling because of sinful humanity. And we're going to rise like a phoenix from the ashes to show the world who we are, what we stand for, and who you are behind. And hopefully that is me, your Elohim, your Yahweh Elohim, who is I, Yahuwah. And so again, just kind of going back to my notes. You know, Christians, you are the majority in this nation. Let's remind them of that. Because preciousness is sacred, righteousness is godly, sin is perversion, it is lying, it is all the things that are being displayed by these commercials. The NFL is peddling this music, this nonsense, LGBTQ. Guys, we're turning this off. This is not America. Any country, and there will be many, many countries that are going to tune into our Super Bowl, they're going to look at this and they're going to see what America's all about. They're going to think that they're watching something from Latin America about faggatry and lesbianism. No. That's it. That is of the devil. That is of Satan. That is not of God. That is not of me, Yahweh. That is not the right way. That is the very thing. These are the things that are destroying America. And I'll be damned, because if it comes down to destruction, Christians, I have almost tore this place apart because of you once. And now I think we're having clarity where you're understanding that I am your God above all else. And that we're on the same team here. We are on the same team. As your team captain, I'm telling you, this is a once a year moment that you can make your voice heard. We can make our voice heard. Because the lying, again, all this is Satan. And with millions turning off the bad choices, the bad influences, the bad music, the world will hear God's people. And the question is, are you a person or a people of God? Or are you a slave to Satan and his sin? Show me by boycotting the halftime show. Show me by, I will be looking at articles and I will be looking the next day. And truly, if you want to start seeing miracles done in the righteous way, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. Show me, your Elohim, that you can do this in one voice, in one act. Show them 15 million viewers watching quarter one, quarter two, and then as soon as Q2's over, it should drop. It should drop to just a mere less than 100,000 viewers. I want it to go down in history as the least watched halftime show. And you know what? That's going to turn the NFL on its head, and they're going to have to begin rethinking their strategy. They're going to have to rethink what they're going to be doing going forward, because if they do not change their ways, I sweareth I, saith Yahweh Elohim, I will begin removing from the top down, from the NFL commissioner seat, I will begin taking Azrael and directing her to go from there all the way down. And I will not stop until I have completely annihilated every root of sin in every category, in every corporation. I don't care. people that are doing things for money, especially promoting sin in front of America's sport. These are families, my children. Do you think me, as Yahweh Elohim, am going to sit on the couch with my family, whom I not only fiercely protect, fiercely love, but fiercely teach? Think I'm going to let them witness the scum of the earth representing the greatest nation on planet Earth? I think not. I think not. Because we, the people, we separate and come together based on action. Not based on race, not based on religion, not based on gender, but action. You see, the left retards want to try to go, they don't like illegals. No, I mean, they don't like Mexicans. No, we don't like people that are breaking the law. We don't like people that are breaking the law entering into our country. We do not like people that are promoting sin. We do not like people that are calling good evil and evil good. We don't want to sit there and go, oh yeah, Bad Bunny, what a great musician. No, he's foul-mouthed. He's a pervert. He is not a righteous person. He does not represent America. He does not represent a Christian nation. That's a fact. I'm taking 5 before I get pissed off. Okay. I'm back. So, righteousness or wrongness, if they are of or for Elohim, God, then they do righteousness, always. So one of my biggest pet peeves with Christians is doing wrongs and saying you're forgiven. That's a falsity. Your behavior should be what your behavior as a model citizen of being a steward of my creation, but being a model citizen for me on my behalf. Being a Christian means you're walking Christ-like. That means that you are identifying evil. You are putting forth your efforts and your attention to godly things. You know, people like to use the word Christian nationalism. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. But if that means that our nation is founded upon laws, and those laws are based upon the 10 Commandments in which I gave to Moshe, as Elohim, as the one true God, the creator of heaven and earth, me, Yahweh Elohim, Yahuwah, in the flesh, then Christian nationalism is the only way, meaning that we have a law, we have respect, we have piety. Our schools should be the best in the world. Our teachers today, I am so disappointed that my adopted daughter is only 6 months away from starting her college career, and yet compared to Asherah and myself when we were in high school, we were light years ahead, and I contribute that to my hard teachers that they said, this is a deadline. This is why deadlines are important. You have that report in. And the teacher would be very specific. Cite your sources. You know, no double spacing. College rule. I want 3 pages, front and back. And you better be explaining this, and this. And as a student at the time, you're like, gosh, what a kind of a mean teacher. And as an adult, I'll write, obviously, as God. But I mean, those are things that you look back on and go, I am so glad my teachers were not just my pals. You know, I'm disappointed in almost all of my adopted daughter's faculty, because every time I go in there, I feel like I'm just consulting with students. Like, they have a student mindset. They have a childlike mindset, not in a good way. Be childlike when it comes to kingdom. Be childlike when it comes to learning my word. That means that you're free of that dogma. But damn it, when it comes to righteousness, we need to know that the Bad-Bunnies of the world are not going to garner our support. They're not going to mix in profane and make us drink it. They're not going to do that anymore. They have in the past. They have for the last 90 years. The bad influence, the bad actors, the wicked and evil seeds of the earth, the corrupt human bloodlines have absolutely led my Christians astray, so far astray, in fact, that they don't even recognize me because of righteousness. Because they have been suckered into doing wrongness and thinking that they're saved. You are saved because you are like the good son or the good daughter, whom I look at and go, how precious. Speaking of preciousness, you know, one of my favorite shows is Death Valley Days. It was It's some of the early seasons are black and white. And then like the newer seasons were in color, but it was back in the 50s and the 60s. I got my shoes off. Taking those off. So the recent episode I watched, Death Valley Days, was last night. And the episode I caught was actually on the name of Death Valley, and they have like a little plaque there and stuff. But one of my favorite things about that show is it gives you a good example of how Christians in America, how that permeated through media in righteous ways. You know, in almost every episode, at least all the ones I've seen thus far, and I haven't seen all of it. Like, there's a lot of the show. It spanned a long time. They always included God. They always included a lesson, and it was always, you know, how are the righteous going to fend off the evil? How are the righteous sheriffs and the men of law, and how are they going to protect the good town people? When these people were riding into town with the same ideals as the Democratic left liberal nut jobs, these are the same people that the good people would be running out of town. I'll take a 5. Alright, the wife had a quick in-between, so catching up with her. Alright, so back on my pet peeve here. You know, we're not gonna let the wicked and evil minority of our Christian nation represent our nation. So truly, I want to see boycott signs. I don't care, in front of churches. Put it on social media. I don't have social media, but if you do, do it. You know, whatever it takes. Mobilize. I have asked 0 from my churches in just blank. I have asked nothing of you. I'm asking for all of you to pull together, to make a stand, make a statement. We have got to take our country back. Because it isn't sayings that make a difference. It's not bumper stickers that make a difference, nor frivolous things that make a difference. Because truly, that's all a light form of idolatry to me. It's knowing your God. It's relying on your Elohim, who is I, trusting in the path wholeheartedly, but your actionables are all righteousness. Your actionables are to stand in front of the bad guys, to stand in front of the Bad-Bunnies, to tell them, you don't belong here. This is a Christian nation. In Death Valley Days, when they're overlooking the naming of Death Valley, you know, I forget her name, and the character is like Pauline looks at like her husband and is like, beyond these mountains is God's country. Or vice versa. He says, beyond these mountains are God's country. And she looks at him and goes, no, honey, it's all God's country. And it's our duty to protect that. Christians, Jews, it is your duty to protect Zion, to protect America. This is the new world. This is the free democratic republic that the world needs to understand and respect. And guess what? That means that we, the righteous people, are the ones who should be propagating truth. Truth propagates righteousness. Righteousness propagates prosperity. Prosperity propagates being able to assist the other world in cleaning up their act. We can't help anybody clean up anyone's act if we still have Bad-Bunnies as the main offering for America's family sport. Guys, I would not let my children watch R-rated movies, and you should not either. Super Bowl halftime shows for the last 20 years have now become an R-rated thing. It's disgusting. I have to keep very good self-restraint to not consult with Azrael on Saturday to say, you know what, I'm just beyond wrathful. I want this list, and it's a big effing list. And I don't have Az just say, you know what, take care of it for me. No, because I need these bad actors to keep rubbing the shit in the faces of my good people so you people can wake up, mobilize, and let's do something about this. Our country is being overran by jihad demons, and it's being accompanied by fraudulent Democrats with an illegal vote, and now we're propagating a Latino concert in the Christian America, guys. They have entire South America to go listen to that garbage. We got to get this place cleaned up. So, okay. I'm moving on. Minnesota rioters. If you break the law will break you. And if they do not, then Azrael will break you. That's a fact. I am getting beyond irritated. This is not peaceful. This is not even for a cause. It is not even for a just cause. Now you have people that are going out there essentially to become martyrs. Guess who you sound like and look like? The jihads. The Democrats have proven that it doesn't stop at just, same-sex marriage is okay. Now we want to make sure that federal funds are going to pay for this and that and sex changes. And now we're going to make sure that rioters, destruction of property is going to be okay. That harassment of police officers is okay. It is not okay. I'll tell you something. If a ICE officer or any officer, sheriff, I don't care. If a citizen is getting in the way of a law officer in any capacity, if a citizen is interfering, they should be handcuffed and sent to jail. That is the law. If your protest goes outside of the yellow line, then you are called trespassing. Then you go to jail. If you spray paint something on the side of a building, that is destruction of private property, and it is a felony. You go to jail. Break a window, you go to jail. Harass officers, you go to jail. If you get physical with officers and you're yelling at them and you're spitting at them and throwing snowballs at them, that is assault on a Leo. You go to jail. There is something called the RICO Act. The RICO Act means that if there is more than 1 or 2 or 3 people that are doing this simultaneously, the RICO Act allows for all of them to be arrested. So if we need to start arresting groups of 200 and 300, because guess what? That's not America. That's not the heart of America. The heart of Americans who are working hard to raise righteous children, who are working hard to instill good values back into our country, to get our school systems cleaned up and to be righteous again. That teachers need to be teaching, and preachers need to be teaching, and we need to be educating our youth so our youth grows up to not become the blue-haired, bull-ringed faggots and lesbians out in the middle of the streets causing mayhem. It's disgusting. And if humankind does not get it under control, I, as Yahweh ELohim, will. So sweareth I, saith the Lord. I will just read my notes to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Minnesota rioters, you break the law will break you. If they do not, Azrael will. Painting, tagging, harassment, violence, property damage has nothing to do with what is happening about a cause, nor is your cause just. It is wicked, it is evil, it is sinful, disobedient humans with an excuse to cause mayhem and to practice lawlessness. It is witching, witches, and abominations. You are un-American. The destruction of civilization is oozing from the left idiots and all of those who are doing these acts of wicked and evilness to our Christian nation. They are bad kids who never grew up and they were not raised right. That's a fact. They were not raised right. And then I can go directly back to, well, why were they not raised right? Remember, we've talked about tails. So, the end of World War II, a big chunk of the men didn't come home. Now you have fatherless children. Fatherless children is a huge problem because it takes the male, not the male and female, not the was a male then is a girl, or not the male who loves boys, not the woman who loves women. It takes a strong male head of the house to lead the family into righteousness, protecting that family from the Bad-Bunnies of the world, from the metropolises like and in Minnesota that at this point would be better off to be burnt to the ground. You do not represent America. You are representing the minority who is here and is actively causing very unreparable harm to this what is and still can be great nation. What made this nation great above all? It was keeping me in the class, keeping me in the courthouse, keeping me in the hearts and the minds of the youth. It was keeping those church pews full at minimum on a Saturday or a Sunday, and on Wednesday night Bible studies. It was keeping the scripture alive and well within the youth, and the youth then grow up to become parents, and then again, then those parents are teaching their children righteousness. And if this would have been being done for the last 90 years, number one, you would not have forgotten about me. You would not have forgotten about my commandments. And you sure as hell would not have allowed any of this to happen. America's Family Halftime turning into an R-rated program that isn't even fit for children to watch is an abomination. And whoever the head of the NFL is, whoever made this final decision, you're on my list. And I'm going to make sure it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt real bad. I'm going to ensure that this is going to send shockwaves everywhere. I will not be silenced. I will not let my country fall down. Done. So, truly, these things are, they're unsavory. Yeah, and that's what I mean. These people obviously they don't have brains, and they're followers, right? Because if at any time someone, a free-thinking individual, were to just look at things for the way they are, why aren't we celebrating America for America's sport? We're celebrating LGBTQ and Latinos. America is America, not Latin America. Go to Latin America and spew your nasty garbage of LGBTQ. If my Christians and my Jews in this great nation don't make a stand, and if your voice isn't heard, I'm going to make damn sure that the hand of me and the wrath of me is going to be seen and is going to be heard, and it is going to hurt. It is going to be, I'm going to make wicked and evil suffer in this land. I'm going to make evil and wicked and sin suffer on this continent. There will be no dark place for it to hide anymore. As the exterminator, I am coming in to gas it. This is literally, this is actions based. This is actions based. I can send Azrael, my death angel, through a team of rioters. It doesn't matter. I could take them out, take the entire NFL commission out, and any and all people, as many as I so want to. Why? Because I am the sovereign creator. The energy that is powering your little bodies is my energy. It is by my free will that you are even alive. So I, as God, want to unalive anybody I want to. That is my literal God-given right. Okay. Well, I think that is about going to do today's video, because I don't think I can physically endure any much more of my perturbedness, because it is that sad that I am having to explain this level, this accepted level of sinful toxicity into the human domain. And if I don't hear the Christians rise up, if I don't hear, if I get the impression that the Bad-Bunnies of the world is the direction that Christians want to go, that good people want to go, then I might have to flip that paradigm upside down, and I might have to send Azrael on a much larger mission, because then we got bigger problems than I think. But I'm betting, I'm willing to bet on my good people, the true citizens that represent America, to stand up, make a stand. This is not what you want. This is not what we stand for. This is not American. This is not godly. This is not righteous. And this is exactly the types of behaviors that lead to collapse. And I tell you, America's military no matter how big it is, the biggest problem that will crumble America is moral and ethical degradation. It's losing your light. It's losing preciousness. Preciousness of sovereignty of creation, of being a uniquely created person put into this wonderful earth to thrive, to have adventure, to have passion, to have love, to procreate the right way, to assist your fellow humans in righteousness and uprightness. You were never created here to talk about nasty, lustful, fleshly sin. Not put here to spread the disease of faggotry and lesbianism. You were not put here to spread disobedience to the same laws that are here to protect us, all of us. As God, me included. I mean, I don't need the law's protection because I have my own angels to do that. But even as God on earth, I rely on the law to keep my area sane. People need to wake up. You know, if you are of the world, then you are my enemy. And if you are my enemy, I am always the victor. And that means that if you are a sinful dreg, final warning, you are going to die. So sweareth I, saith the Lord God. So with that, have a good Monday. Iran, hold fast. There are things moving, but as of right now, myself and the PT team are kind of keeping quiet because it really is going to depend upon what reaction this is going to have with Kammenie and team, because in chess, sometimes it's better to let the opponent move first, so then you know how to counter that move. So, alright, have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow.